Heidi ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast. This is episode 425. It's the Detroit Lions moral victory or progress question. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit, we think. I'm your host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, Jeff, the Riz Risden. How you doing, brother?
It is good to be back with you on what may or may not be the official podcast of Reddit or whatever, wherever we are. It's all good, man. It's fun. I raced here from the huge show to talk more Lions, which is it's the highlight of my day, Chris.
I'm in love with huge, but we'll talk. Well, someday we'll talk about that. But what a dude.
Yeah, cannot thank Bill enough for all the platform that he's given me. So thanks, Bill.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. He deserves it. All right, today's show, we got a lot to cover. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles game. There was a lot that happened. There's a lot of things to see and talk about, and there's a lot of angles to this. Moral victory or progress, right? That's the big question, but we'll talk about some of the details on this as well. With that, we're going to talk about Swift, DeAndre Swift. Oof, looking good. Jeff Okuda, the defense, Jared Goff, wide receivers, a whole lot more. We're going to cover all that stuff. We got the question about, is this a moral victory or progress? We're going to put that to you, and we're going to talk about it from our perspectives as well, give you our thoughts, but we definitely want to hear from you on that. Also, we're going to look ahead to the Washington Commodes. As we are supposed to be favorites, we shall flush them away. Might need a plunger, but they will get down that.
No floaters.
No turds. All right, we got a great show lined up. Riz, you ready to go, my man?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
Woo! All right, we got this. A lot of good stuff in chats already. How you doing, Jason? Good to see you. Great to have you with us. Got Brandon, howdy doody. Lions not duty Sunday. That's right, brother. Let's go right to it. We got to talk about what's going on first. Just really quick, get ready. This week, I need some help. If you want to volunteer to help, let me know. We need a couple people. We're going to be doing the big scavenger hunt for St. Jude. We're going to raise some big money for them, and we need your help to do it. If you want to be a team on the scavenger hunt, get yourself a team of 4. You can go with less, but you got to pay the full entry fee. All the money from the entry fee will go to St. Jude, raising money for sick kids. We'll do our 24-hour show on the 14th and 15th of October during the bye week of the Lions. So you get to have some
1 month from today, Chris. 1 month.
Wow, it's flying at us. I feel like I'm in hyperspace in the Millennium Falcon. Captain Kirk over my shoulder. I'm wondering if I got anybody triggered. I love doing that. I know Case would have a twitching eye right now. Anyway, we got all that going on. A lot of really, really good stuff with the St. Jude thing. Great guests, the whole thing. And I want you to join us and push it over the $100,000 total raised mark this year. It's we got some fun stuff as always. So check that out. Coming this week in the next 7 days, we will open up the entries to that. And you'll get a really nifty t-shirt, Riz. So why wouldn't you do it, right?
I like t-shirts. I need more new t-shirts. That's good. It's good for us.
All right, let's get into it. I don't know if you recognize this, but the Lions played the Eagles for the first week of the NFL season this week, Riz. Did you see anything or hear anything about that?
It was the Griffin game. You got the Lions versus the Eagles. I live here in the Grand Rapids area. We got the Griffins as our top minor league hockey team. I kept trying to find a way to incorporate Griffin into it, and I failed. It was sad.
All right. Yeah.
Go Griffins.
No, go away, Griffins. All right. So we'll talk about this game. There's a lot to cover, and there's a whole ton of stuff to kind of break out. I want to start first off with something we've talked about before. 2 key things to think about. Number 1, the game 1 of the regular season is fool's gold. Understand that. Overall, teams that rested their starters for the entire preseason are 6-13 in week 1 over the last 2 seasons. 6-13. Does that mean something? Well, it seems to. Does it mean anything for the entirety of the season? We don't have the data, but probably not. Do they actually help guys not get injured? Who knows? That's just kind of something we're looking at. So when you do that, you think
doesn't appear to be with Detroit on the injury front there.
Oh God, yeah. But with that, you look at the the record and you say, okay, that seems to be it's double the losses to the wins. That seems to be statistically significant in the first week. I think it just adds to the whole concept of fool's gold. Teams kind of getting that extra, the last preseason game out of the way during the regular season, kind of getting up to speed. So I think there's a lot to that, and I just think that the teams aren't quite there. And I think we'll get around to that a little bit in our conversation about the players and how the team played and the kind of evolution through the game, because it wasn't just a game where they played in one way. This was almost 3 games in 60 minutes for the Lions. So we'll do that. In the meantime, we really, really want to ask you guys. We're going to get to this ourselves, but we want to start with you and guys and gals. We want you to go to the chat or the comments, okay? We want to know what you think. Was this game a moral victory for the Lions, or was it progress? Because it feels like that's two of the ways that people are leaning on what this could have been. Moral victory for the Lions? Good or bad with your thoughts on a moral victory, or was it progress for the team? So hit us up in the chat, hit us up in the comments, let us know what you think on that one. The other thing is, besides Fool's Gold, this is, and I'll use my numbers, Riz, because they're different than yours. This is a 7-9 win team this year. Let's just understand the Eagles are a playoff bound team. They're a playoff team last year. We did, in the end, we came out not so bad. So we're good. We're good. Worry not. Relax. We're there.
I will take going from 44-6 last Thanksgiving or Halloween. I always mix those holidays up. It's Halloween. It's Halloween. It was a nightmare. It was just epically bad. Probably the lowest point of last year in a series of low points.
Yeah.
This time they lost 38-35, and guess what? The Eagles got better. Like that's the team that can win the NFC.
Yep.
Like they're good. And specifically they're good where the Lions are going to struggle. They're good with their defensive line. They're good on their offensive line. They have a quarterback that's you could have told me we were playing Lamar Jackson this week and I would have believed you. His Hurts ability was phenomenal, and the Lions don't have an answer for that. The Lions are not going to be the only team they do that to. They're going to put up a lot of points this year, and I was impressed with how the Lions, after you talk about the 3 different games, the first drive for the Lions, phenomenal. Next 3 drives are absolute. We're floating in the toilet bowl, and that's got to end. That was bad.
No turds.
But then after that, I thought we were good. I thought we were heads up against them. And honestly, just a couple of if we stop Miles Sanders on 3rd down, if Josh Reynolds catches that pass from Jared Goff, it's a different outcome. We're looking at a Lions win.
Yeah.
And the fact that they screwed up so badly early and stayed with it and still got back. There was I saw some talk about there was no garbage time in this game. Like they got back in it early enough that it wasn't really garbage time.
Yep.
And you saw it at the end. They came up big when they needed to. They didn't come up big enough. And that's where you're talking about, is it a moral victory or is it just progress or is it some amalgamation of both of those?
Maybe you can help me because, this is one of my key components to garbage time. How many plays did Philadelphia put a prevent defense out there?
They did not put one once.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, sounds good. All right, let's get into it. Let's start talking about some of the Lions players. First off, we have to talk about DeAndre Swift, FedEx Player of the Week, 2nd place. I thought he'd get it, but what's his face from the Colts? More carries, right? More carries, more yards, and his yards per carry were not nearly as high. But I would give DeAndre Swift
by the way, their team didn't win either.
Yeah, there you go. Running game is no longer valuable in the NFL.
If it's your lead, correct. If your run game is better than your pass game, it's not good for your offense.
Yes,
and we might be dealing with that some this year, unfortunately.
Yep. So DeAndre Swift out there, we were talking about this in the post game a little bit, Riz, and this is something that stuck with me. Looking at Hard Knocks, that hard coaching that DeAndre Swift got from Deuce, and you saw the look in his face and his eyes. There was a lot of people concerned about, whoa, is he breaking this poor guy, right? And some people saying Swift was soft, and I was like, oh, he ain't soft. You don't become an NFL running back by being soft. But so it's like, okay, is he soft? Is he hurt? Can he do it? And then you saw him do literally what Deuce was yelling at him to do. And I wish, damn it, I didn't do it. I wanted to go back and screen cap that picture of Deuce and Swift on the sideline when Deuce was looking at the surface, and he turns and he looks at Swift. He's like, Like, yeah, that's it. Like it was a moment, and Swift was lit up like a tree. He was so happy and excited. I mean, you see that connection between coach and Swift, and it's like, wow, this really is working. This is great, man.
I love that the coach recognized and that he took to the coaching, because it's not always easy coaching. It's not all sunshine and flowers.
Yep.
Sometimes you're going to get a hot poker where you don't want it, and he needed it, and it worked. And I was so thrilled with how well he stayed with the initial hole, how he attacked where the play was designed to go. And that's exactly what you want to see from your running. That's the way this offense is designed. Pretty much all NFL offenses now with your running back is designed. If he goes where the hole is supposed to be and the blocking holds true to what it's designed to do, that's where you make it. Now, where you can get funky and have a guy like Barry used to do. Barry could go anywhere on any play. You don't see really guys like that. You see Jonathan Taylor of the Colts, a great example of a guy, good offensive line there in Indianapolis. He knows exactly where the line is going to put and be that he can react off of.
Sure.
You saw that from Swift for the most part. There were a couple of runs, and they came, unfortunately, in that lull where he didn't trust his blocking, and he went a little bit off center. There was one where he was supposed to bounce that to the far outside to the right. He had Jonah Jackson pulling around. The tight end locked it up, and he cut it back inside, and it looked like Brock Wright missed his block. No, Brock Wright was where he was supposed to be. Swift went back inside, and look, I don't want to dog DeAndre because he had a phenomenal game running the ball, but even then, there's still room for improvement, and that's and that he's gonna see that. You better believe they're showing that on that. Like, hey, if you stay with that block, Brock Wright is hitting that guy. You got 5 yards on the outside before you're touched, but you cut back into the inside right where the safety was waiting for you. Like that's where Swift has struggled throughout his career. And you saw so much good from him, and I was very encouraged by that.
Getting a glimpse of that ceiling is just like, you're like, this isn't even as good as you can get. This is great, and I saw a lot of people comparing him, one of the best running backs they've seen in the Lions' history. He has the potential. If he can continue this and follow through like this, he has all the potential. His ceiling is up there to be one of the very, very, very best. Stinks that he wasted years with Patricia and so on. There is an emergency right now in the chat, and we have to get on this. Riz, there's a lot of questions about that hat. That looks a lot like a Commode's hat. Can we maybe do something about that?
Oh, no, that is Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, folks. This is just poor color choice on Riz's part.
It is.
We appreciate the hair so much. All right. Okay.
Stuck off screen here.
Oh, I told you we'd get taken care of. Here we go. Okay, we're good. Okay, phew. Had to get ourselves back to wardrobe. Man, that looks great. You look great today, Riz. Way better than I thought.
There you go.
I was wrong earlier. Your ceiling is way higher than.
We'll go for the Dream Theater hat for the 5 of you out there who know the Majesty logo.
No Dream Theater. All right, DeAndre Swift. Anything else we want to talk about with DeAndre? I mean, he brought it. He was the guy, and he deserves all the praise because he got ridden hard over the offseason. One game, there's still 16 more to go, but what we saw today was well worth a lot of praise.
144 yards on, I think it was 18 carries. That's phenomenal.
15.
Again, there is still room for improvement, and I do blame him for the pick six because he didn't run a route. He just stood there off the line, and that allowed the cornerback that was covering him as an outside receiver to bleed back and make the tip drill pick. Otherwise, if Swift does anything on that route, it's not an interception. And that's the thing. And I know Deuce Staley is going over this. The attention to detail is something that Deuce Staley harps on. It's one of the reasons why Jermar Jefferson isn't on the active roster. It's one of the reasons why they got rid of Greg Bell quickly, even before he got hurt. Like that's the type of thing, like you've got to bring it on because every single play matters. Even if you're not involved in the play, you've got to do your part. And Swift didn't do that on a couple plays. And for me, it sullied what was otherwise a phenomenal game from 32. And I hope that he sees that and pays attention and fixes it. And I know it's going to get coached on, but man, I'm so encouraged by how well he ran the ball, by how he trusted the blocking, how he wasn't necessarily afraid of contact. There were a lot of things that we saw from DeAndre Swift that we haven't seen before. And if he keeps that up, It's going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, he was out there.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
That's right. That was Swift out there all day. Now, Brandon, review of the Eagles fans are all upset about the run defense. Eagles are rightfully so, right? I mean, they came in pretty hot, pretty excited. They were, we crushed them. This is an easy win. We're walking through it. They are having some hard questions to answer right now because, well, frankly, the Lions put 35 points up. 35 points on that vaunted Eagles defense. And look, if that defense, again, it's week 1, so you got a little fool's gold going, but if that defense is stout the rest of the year, I mean, it says a lot. It says a lot.
Their defensive line is really good and their safety is really good. Their linebackers are trash too. And you saw it both ways in that game. If you don't have good linebackers, the other team's going to have some success running the ball. The Lions took advantage of it, and the Eagles certainly did too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love linebackers are trash everywhere, and you just love it. And I love that you love it.
It's not everywhere. I will begrudgingly give the Bears a little bit of credit. Their linebackers played outstanding against San Francisco, and the Bears tip the hat to them. They got a win. They might not get another one, but they got one.
Yeah. Chiefs scored more touchdowns. It's the only team that did. That's awesome. Oh. Eagles fans are saying that our offensive line is the real deal. It absolutely is. And I just have to say, I mean, they looked good out there. They looked good, even with an injury replacement for Big V. I mean,
yeah, and so let's talk a little bit about Stenberg and his 0.0 pass block grade from Pro Football Focus, PFF. That's really harsh on him. Look, I don't think he played well. I think he reverted to some bad habits, specifically when he's engaged with a defender. He doesn't move his feet. You saw some of that, especially when it was matched up with Jordan Davis. Not Jordan Davis, Milton Williams on the inside. Milton's a quick guy. And if you're not keeping your feet moving and staying up on your toes, you're going to get cooked. And he did. But 0.0, I'm like, he wasn't that bad. And we're going to have to get used to him because he's going to be the starter for the foreseeable future, if not the rest of the season. Look, an offensive line is only ever as good as its weakest point because you can find ways to attack it. And not to look too far ahead, but the strength of the Washington Commanders is their defensive line. They're really, really, really good up front. They're not all that good anywhere else, but their defensive, like they spent 4 first-round draft picks in a row on their defensive line. All 4 of them can play. One of them won't because Chase Young's out. But Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, all those dudes can ball. Yep. It's going to be a challenge for Logan Stenberg in the line this week. And I'm looking forward to it. I hope that he rises. I think he's going to play better. I think that he's going to be over the shock of, oh, my God, I'm playing against like all these guys now. I saw him get better as the game went on. But the 0.0 was a little harsh, though. I would have given him – look, they've changed their grading system since I went through their training, which was like 7 years ago. But I know I understand the principles of it. He wasn't that bad. And I'm hoping also – there was a couple other things. They dogged Okuda for a couple of passes that clearly weren't at him. Yeah. They dogged Hawkinson for a play that it wasn't his fault. Their game charter for the initial review anyways, I think he needs to get checked a little bit.
I really think that PFF dropped a Stanley Steamer for the Lions ratings this game this week for week 1. I was just squinting and shaking my head. I was like, why are we paying for this service? This seems just
it was not their best week, objectively speaking, from grading. Like I went through and we'll talk about what I did with Okuda, but I'm like, you're watching a different player than I am. Are you confusing him with Will Harris? Are you confusing him with Mike Hughes, who I actually also thought played pretty well?
Let's talk about Jeff Okuda. I thought he looked really good out there. Look, I recognize there's a play that everyone, it's easy to tell because of you get the overhead shot on TV. And it's funny. I love how a bunch of people complain when they get the field level shot and you're like, well, that's what the players see. But you get the high level shot and they're like, oh, look at all that cushion he put up. Yeah, you know what? He did have a play in which he put all kinds of cushion out there and gave the wide receiver a lot of cushion. But you know what? How many throws hit against him? How many receptions were against Okuda?
He had 3 receptions on him. There's a debatable 4th one. And I wrote this up for Lions Wire. You can check it out there. I broke down Jeff Okudah's thing. It was a screen pass to Dallas Goedert where Rodrigo got stuck inside because he bit on the fake, and Okudah sensed it before everybody else, and just simply because he was alert and aware of the play, got there before anybody else did, which in Pro Football Focus's system, he's the closest defender at the time that the catch was made, so the catch is on him. I've watched them practice. I've watched them practice against that specific play. He's the 3rd guy in there. That should be Deshaun Elliott and Rodrigo that were primarily in coverage there. Okudah was just better than them on that play, and he gets penalized for it in their eyes.
Yeah,
that was. But so Devontae Smith, 4 passes thrown his way, not 1 completion, 1 pass defended, and let's go back to the one where he gave up the cushion. Do you think that Jeff Okudah chose to give that much cushion, or that he was told to give that much cushion?
That's interesting.
Because if you look on the other side, Amani was also 12 yards off on 3rd and 10.
That's really
just saying. Saying.
Yep.
That is not necessarily Jeff Okudah's choice. That's Aaron Glenn's choice. And some of the rationale behind that is that you expect your pass rush first off to get there. You want him coming downhill because you're expecting a quicker pass where you don't want to get beat over the top because your safeties are coming up to jam and play the inside of the field. So you're hoping that the rush gets there. So they're throwing that ball where the receiver, it's A.J. Brown, was only 6 or 7 yards down the field, and Okudah is coming downhill to make a tackle on him. That's the defensive principle at play there. So don't get on Jeff for playing off. That's a schematic design. I would argue it's a schematic failure, but that's not Okudah's fault. That's Aaron Glenn's fault.
And I think,
so put the blame where it belongs, folks.
I think the one thing about Jeff Okudah that is getting overlooked is this is his first game in a year after an injury that ended more careers over the history of the NFL than people who've recovered from it. And he came back and played like a number 1 cornerback for the Lions against a really good offense in the Eagles. And you couldn't tell he was hurt. It's a testament to his grit, his desire, his never going to stop, never going to give it up, never going to let you down spirit, and frankly his just determination to get there, and medical excellence these days too. I am immensely impressed that anybody, Jeff Okudah or otherwise, could come back and play like he did a year after what he suffered as an injury. So whatever, aside, if you need too much cushion, otherwise you want to curse him or whatever else, that's fine. But I thought in the circumstances of what he was as a cornerback, suffered through what he suffered through, the coaching he had in the beginning to what we saw this week, my God, this guy is a miracle of science and health and technology and everything else. Holy cow. The human spirit triumphs.
I was very pleased for him. I thought he was the best Lions defender on the field pretty much all day. Just to reference the Lions Wire thing that I wrote, I go through, I charted every single snap of his. He played, 67 of the 76? There were 21 plays where he was involved in the play. Like, you don't chart him when they're run plays, when the throws to the other side. He had 14 pluses and 7 minuses on those 21 plays. That's a ratio that you will take every freaking day from your outside cornerback. No question about it. And 4 of the plays where he got the minus were because he closed poorly on a run or a run after the catch. He either got blocked. One of them was a screenplay where he got blocked out of bounds. Can't have that happen. There's another one. Actually, the screenplay to Goddard, I gave him a minus for because he kind of took a weird angle after Goddard caught the ball and he missed the tackle. Yeah. And it allowed him to gain a couple of extra yards. So that's a minus in my book. But overall, man, he was so good. And I will say this: there were 3 plays on the Eagles' first 2 drives where Jalen Hurts wanted to throw to Devontae Smith. That was his primary read. You can see him from the snap looking there. And Okudah had him freaking blanketed, and he had to look elsewhere. Unfortunately, Jalen Hurts took off and ran on all those and got big gains, but that's not Jeff's fault.
But I mean, one of the things you said it in the very, very beginning, 67 out of 74 snaps, was it? Or was that the number?
76. Yeah, he missed 9. So,
and he was on a snap count. Think about that. How much he played on a snap count. Power to my man. Power to Jeff Okudah.
Second play he was out was when they hit A.J. Brown deep over the top of Will Harris, who was in fairly good trail coverage position. It was a perfect throw. Give Jalen Hurts some credit there. Mm-hmm. Very nice catch. And Harris showed the awareness of a blind barn owl, unfortunately.
Blind barn owl during the day. Absolutely. David Wester, is it a blessing it happened when he was young? I think it is. I mean, he's talking about Sherman falling off. I think Sherman fell off just because Sherman was at an age too.
Sherman started reading his own press clippings.
Yeah.
100%.
So the other thing about it as a team, we'll get to the team. Great job, Jeff Okudah, really impressive. Let's move on to the next piece. Let's stay on the defense as a whole. I want to touch a little bit on Aiden Hutchinson before we get to the defense. I can't say words tonight. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be saying words and I can't say them right. Aiden Hutchinson out there. I think there's a couple things, right? And what was it? One tackle. People like all down on him. We saw a lot of what Aiden Hutchinson can do. You got to think. Here's a kid who grew up in Detroit, went to college in Detroit, got drafted number 2 overall in Detroit, is here for his team. He is off the charts with energy, and you saw it. He overran so many plays. He just was out there to win. He wanted that first sack at home, first game. I'm not concerned about Aiden Hutchinson at all. I think this was a rookie who was amped up and probably had one too many energy drinks before the game and was out there and just was trying a bit too hard. I think you're going to see this week he's going to kind of settle into his role, and I think you're going to see a lot more of the real Aiden Hutchinson that we drafted. Riz, where's your head on that?
I think you're absolutely right on that. And I think he's never played against a guy like Jalen Hurts before. And Jalen Hurts is a very different kind of quarterback because he can beat you with his arm. But, man, when he goes with his legs, I told Jude today when I was on the air, there were times where I thought we were playing Lamar Jackson. He looked that fast and that quick to accelerate out of things. Look, I've watched a lot of Jalen Hurts over the years. I scouted just about every one of his college games. I've never seen him with that dedication to taking off and running the way that he did in this game. And he looked great. He should be in the top 5 for the MVP after week 1. I don't think that's going to persist all season, but he's certainly a good quarterback. It's crazy to me that there are still Eagles fans who think that he's not good enough. I'm like, do you want Tim Boyle? We got one of them week you can have.
Trade you. Straight up. Yeah, for sure. We got it. So moving on to the rest of the another part of the line. Don, ask Jeff, did Bugs have a better game than Aleem McNeil? I'll say Aleem got eaten up by doubles a lot. I think Aleem wasn't able to be Aleem fully. And
he had a rough game.
Yeah, eating up doubles is okay. But Bugs stood up Kaminsky.
Kaminsky had some energy. Bugs played well. And I think one of the things that Bugs does that Aleem can learn from is Bugs is really good at extending his arm out and keeping the blocker at bay a little bit. And Aleem lets him in and tries to chest press them off. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work when you're playing a good offensive line, and I think he found that out. It was not a good game for Aleem. I thought Bugs played great.
Yeah, he was good. A lot of guys that you didn't expect to be kind of top of mind in this game came up and stepped up, and that's what you want when the big guys aren't doing it, when the bigger names aren't doing it. Guys like that stepping up and putting themselves in the limelight. We'll take it. We'll take it all day. It's when everybody goes to sleep at the same time that you really find the pain.
Yeah, you got to get better play. You got to have more than 2 or 3 guys who have really good games at the same time. And I'll even go through this game. I thought Alex Anzalone was terrible in the first half. I thought after halftime, I thought he played a pretty good second half of the game.
Yeah.
Was it perfect? No. Was he a lot better in the second half than he was in the first half? Yes. And some of the reason was because he deliberately stayed home more and didn't pursue and chase. I thought he did a better job of spying on Jalen Hurts. I want to say that Hurts only had, I think it was 3 runs of more than 5 yards in the second half where he gashed us completely in the first half. A lot of that was because Anzalone played better.
Yeah.
Does Anzalone have to play better still? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does Rodrigo have to play better? Yeah, and it's interesting to me that Rodrigo was the highest graded player from Pro Football. This was another one where I had some issue with what PFF graded in the game. I had 2 touchdowns directly on Rodrigo. The first one, obviously, on him because he's inside. He is the chase guy on Jalen Hurts who literally walks outside because Rodrigo was inside. Look, he's a rookie playing his first game. And I will say this.
And he had a dented orbital.
As innocuously as I can. If you're going to get on Aiden Hutchinson for making a lot of rookie mistakes and you give Rodrigo a pass for it because he's a 6th rounder, draft position don't matter, folks. If you're starting, you're out there, that means you're responsible for what you got to do. Like you got to judge Aiden and Rodrigo through the same lens. Like they're part of the same defense. Like, yeah, I know your expectations are probably a little higher for Hutchinson. They should be based on the draft position. Sure. But if he's playing, he's got to execute. If he's not,
execute.
It's not like they have anybody better. Unfortunately, Derek Barnes was trash. Unfortunately,
his PFF
Chris Board was worse than that, proving that speed doesn't do everything. By the way, Chris Board is the 2nd fastest linebacker in the NFL based on the RAS speed scores from when they were in the combine. Did it help him? Got to have more than just speed, folks.
Yep. That is true. That is very, very true. All right, so the defense as a whole, Riz, interesting. I mean, I feel like in the first half, they played a lot better than they did in the second half. I feel like part of the problem, though, was they got worn down in time because of all the 3 and outs. And that kind of thing. The defense was, I think, the offense was the defense's worst enemy this game and probably cost them on their PFF grades because early, they looked pretty strong. They were pretty stout. They were playing well, and it was just so much time.
From after the pick 6, I think the Eagles' defense picked up a little bit more confidence then, and the Lions' defense was just out there for a long time. Man, Hutchinson played, was it 90% of the reps? Like, and this is where the ripple effects of not having Julian Okwara, not having Levi Onwuzurike, not having Josh Paschal, not trusting John Kaminsky enough, not trusting Austin Bryant enough, not moving Aiden around enough. I'll put a little bit on that too. Like you're asking him to play a hell of a lot of snaps, man. And by the way, Lane Johnson is the best right tackle in football. I think we saw some of that too. Guys pretty damn good.
I would say I loved the setup with Charles Harris and Aiden Hutchinson next to each other. They need more practice to execute on that. Hutchinson made a couple mistakes doing that, but that was really, really effective. That has real potential. I loved that. I loved that defensive lineup. Floundericious, thank you, sir, for the super chat. We love you, brother. Defensive line had some really good reps early on where they're not as aggressive but aware. First half screen that they swatted down, they all recognized the release, stopped, and got the hands up. Yeah. So I will say, I'm going to go on a little bit of a limb here, let them score 38 points. The defense performed actually better than I thought it would. I think they would have scored much fewer points had the defense not spent so much time on the field. I think that's part of what hosed them. We knew at the beginning of the season this was a team that was going to rely on the offense. Had the offense showed up in the first half like they did in the second half, the defense would have been much better rested. They would have scored many fewer points, and we would have gone to that mode that we're thinking of this team was going to be, was an outscore the opponents and hope to hold them a couple times on defense to make the difference. So I think the defense was actually, especially in those circumstances, a little better than what I expected. A couple more weeks though, and they get less time in the field, they perform the same way. My opinion will change very quickly.
I'm with you on that. And just to reinforce the question that you asked, is it progress or is it a moral victory? I think what you just described there is progress more than a moral victory. I look at it like you can have they've lost 44-6 to this team, an inferior version of this team, by the way, 10 games ago. I'll take that.
Yeah. Oh, for real. And we've got guys coming back. right? I mean, as the season comes on, well, oh yeah, they're coming back. J-Mo will come back. Jerry will be back. I think
J-Mo and Jerry will be back.
Yep.
At some point, Julian Okwara will get on the field. At some point, maybe Ifeatu Malifonwu will get on the field. That, by the way, is your number 3 safety when all things are copacetic. Right. That'll be nice.
Jared Taylor.
I do worry about a guy not, and I worry about this with Jerry. We talked about this before. These are guys who were rookies last year who are basically changing positions where they align in the defense without ever practicing it. I do worry about that. But at the same time, they're getting more talent on the field when that happens.
Yep. All right, Jared Taylor. We have a Washington Commodes fan. Sorry, Jared, in the chat, and he's asking, "Can your corners handle speed?" And Ryan nailed it. No, they can't. And Jared comes back with, we have 3-4-3 receivers. Terry McLaurin is going to be the bane of our defense. I really think that he's the guy that's going to wreck everything, even if he isn't necessarily the guy making all the catches. He is going to set us up.
He's a catalyst. And Jahan Dotson, who they run, and Terry will play out of the slot, but primarily Dotson is their slot guy. He's really good.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yep.
It was a guy that I wanted at if the Lions had held at 34, the pick, that was a guy that I really liked coming out of Penn State. He's good.
Yep.
They're fast. They're a weird team in that they're sort of like the latter era Schwartz Lions or the early Caldwell, in that they've got a quarterback that, okay, Carson Wentz, say what you want. He's capable. He's proven that he could do things.
Yeah.
They're really good at wide receiver. Antonio Gibson is a very good running back, very good dual threat running back. He can catch, he can run. They have the weapons outside. They have a quality tight end who can catch passes, big guy. You wonder about their line. Like, sometimes their line's okay, but their best lineman for years and years is Brandon Scherf. He's in Jacksonville now. Their line, like, it's okay. It's not terrible, but it reminds me a lot of like 2015, 2016 Lions, in that, like, you're looking like, God, if they just had like one really good offensive lineman, it's going to be a really good offense. And it would help the quarterback. It would help Commanders fans feel better about their quarterback. Oh, he did okay. Wasn't great. I only watched the game in the condensed view on NFL Plus, so I didn't like pay real close attention to it. I thought he was okay.
Yeah. Wentz can't throw on his back. Don Burr, always a superhero.
That's right.
In the chat. I love him.
That's your hope. And he runs less than he used to. If you remember him from his Philly days, he was a guy he would wantonly take off. He doesn't do that anymore. Some of that's the fact that he gets hurt all the time, and he's been coached out of that. He's not the mobile guy that he used to be. You can get to him. He's big. He's strong. He's not easy to get down, but he's not the running target that you used to be, and that's where the pass rush comes in. But yeah, to the cornerback speed, and it really showed with Amani Oruwariye in this last. I thought AO had a terrible game, honestly. Now, again, AJ Brown is a damn good receiver.
Yeah.
Wonderful pickup by Philadelphia. Might have been the best trade acquisition movement of the offseason.
Yep.
Certainly in the non-quarterback style.
Yep.
And like he's a handful, man. That guy's really, really good, and he fit in right away. And but Amani, if he wants to stay with this team, if he wants to get paid this offseason, this is his contract year. He's got to do better than what he did against AJ Brown.
Let me ask, because Okuda got very, very few reps with him. Do you think it was purposeful on Okudah's first time back, maybe trying to build a little confidence? We're not putting him with Brown.
No, I think because Devontae Smith is faster and Okudah is the fastest cornerback that we have. I think that's what the matchup was dictated by.
There you go. All right. We'll get to the Washington preview here in a second. And we're doing it now instead of a preview game on Friday. I'm going to be out at a resort with my wife celebrating our anniversary. And
how many years?
Deserved break. Too many. Well, no, not sorry. Honey. Shit. It seems like 3. No, it's good. She's the best. She really is the best. She's the awesomest. So, we got to cover a couple things first. We still got to do moral victory or progress, and we're already running ahead to the look ahead. So let's get to Jared Goff. We want to get to the offense. There's a couple things, and we'll cover the receivers next. But I want to start with Goff himself. It's always so black or white for people. There's so rarely a gray area. I'm just going to say Jared Goff was off in the first half. Most of even the drops were not quite on target passes in many cases. I think this is a lot to do with the team, the ones not playing together in a game in live fire at game speed until now. I feel like there's a lot, especially with the change at halftime. I think there was adjustments at halftime. There was conversations. Let's look at tendencies. Let's talk about what we're seeing. But I think there was also we're getting it, and they were able to pull together and start figuring their timing out and talk about, you're not where you need to be. The ball is not where it needs to be. I was expecting something else, because a lot of those kind of just rusty, mistakey kind of things went away after the half. And I just will know, right? Week 1 is fool's gold. Let me see it 2, see it 3. But I feel like a lot of this was just them not playing together. Goff wasn't perfect. Looked a lot better at the end, though, and that was a Jared Goff I was expecting after training camp. It's the one we saw at the end of that game.
I would agree. The throw to DJ Shark, my God, that was beautiful. Like that's the icing on some tasty cake right there, baby. That was nice.
Yeah.
But the early ones, the miscommunications, it's like they were in the same book, but they weren't on the same page. And that's generally on the quarterback. But to your point, I think they went in at halftime or even on the sidelines there and saw, hey, this is what I'm seeing. And the receiver's like, oh, this is what I saw. And they worked it out. Like, to me, that's progress. Is it progress? That means progress. I like that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they worked it out, that they didn't lose faith in one another. When Amon-Ra puts a ball on the ground, that's literally the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
And Goff didn't lose confidence in him. Went right back to him, scored a touchdown on the next drive.
Yep.
You saw him not give up on Josh Reynolds. You saw him not give up on Shark after an early drop. The drops, by the way, drop passes are dicey, and we had this argument back in the day with Stafford about how much responsibility does the quarterback bear for the drops?
Did you see it in the Slack chat? I was like, "Is there something about the way Goff throws the ball?" Remember that? I pulled that one out again.
Totally trolling me. That's great. I love it. I will say that the throw to Josh Reynolds, that one's on Goff. Josh gets 2 hands on that ball. He needs to catch that. That ball has to have just a little bit more touch on it. It came out a little hot. Goff wasn't really under pressure there. That's a throw he's got to make just a little bit better. That's a throw Kirk Cousins makes. That's a throw that Baker Mayfield makes. And if you want to consider, Jared Goff to be better than those guys, or even, towards the top of that tier that those guys I think are in, that's a throw he's got to make. And right now he's so close, Chris. He's so close.
Yeah, I'm excited because he's miles ahead of where he was last year at this time. You know what I mean?
And I think he didn't throw it down the field that much, but I think this was a case of the Eagles, and this really came across when I watched the game. They were really focused on taking TJ Hawkinson away. Like, they went into this game like, we're stopping 88 is not beating us. If Goff wants to beat us over the top, he can try. I'm gonna take my chances with Darius Slay in man coverage. I'm gonna take my chances with Avonte Maddox out there. CJG coming in, great acquisition, by the way. That's their strength. So they were trying to cover their weakness, which is their linebackers and their middle of the field. Marcus Epps really good at coming straight forward. Don't ask him to go back the other way. He can't do that. You saw it on the screen pass that he blew up where Panay just missed blocking him. And that was another one. And I think this was in the Slack chat that this came up. I've been in a lot of places today where we talked about the spacing on the play. And the wide receiver, I think it was Amon-Ra, wasn't it, on that play? Has to be like 2 more steps out to make the spacing right, so Epps can't get there, and it makes it easier for Panay to get out there.
Yep.
Like, there were the little attention to detail things we talked about with Swift and with some of the other guys, with Stenberg. Like, it was just a little bit off, and you can't do that against a good team. You might be able to get away with that against Jacksonville. You might be able to get away with that against Chicago. Maybe against Green Bay, based on the way that they look for week 1. they look like shit. But against a well-coached team, you got to be better than that.
Yeah. Can I say, though, you mentioned him, and Did you find yourself rooting for Slay a little bit?
I love that guy. I will never root against Darius Slay. I was happy to see him get beat. That was kind of nice. Yeah. And to Slay's credit, he took it. Yeah, my bad. He knew he got beat. Good throw, good play.
Especially now that Patricia's gone, right? He doesn't have any of that animosity. He always loved Detroit and the people of Detroit and the fans and stuff. And now he's out there doing his job. But the thing about him that I always loved, he still has. He just loves being Darius Slay. And God, I wish I was Darius Slay because he has so much fun.
There's a guy who's
Darius
really
Slay.
happy being who he is, and I totally respect that. From what I understand, he signed a crap ton of autographs too, and posed for pictures of the people, which is great.
That's awesome.
Don't hold it against Darius Slay. It wasn't his fault. He's gone.
I think where is it? Oh, you can't see it. It's behind my head. I got a Darius Slay ball back there. Nice. I some balls I move and put away and bring some out. Always being pants free. I at least got 2 balls out, but that one stays out because I love my thing.
These nuts.
Yeah, right.
You got it in. Good job. Yeah, you'll never hear me say negative things or rooting against Darius Slay or Quandre Diggs. They remain 2 of my all-time favorite Lions.
Yeah.
Always.
Don Burr, the Commanders is Lionel Richie's old singing group. He's so sharp, man. I love him in chat. Hawkinson, not great in blocking, getting holding calls. This was a tough game for TJ. Talking about signing him and what his contract's worth, I wouldn't base it on a single game, but coming out, he didn't earn himself a whole lot of money this week. I'll tell you that much.
And you saw Darren Waller get paid recently. Was it $17 million a year? The asking price for Hawkinson is going to be somewhere between David Njoku, who got, I think, $14.45 million a year, and Darren Waller at 17 and change, whatever it is. And the guaranteed money's fluff, but Hawkinson's going to ask for $15 million a year.
You've had enough of that shit.
I hope the Lions don't pay him that, quite frankly. He's got to show that he earns that. He hasn't done that yet. Certainly didn't in week 1. I don't think he was bad in week 1, but he's got to be a lot better than that if he wants to get paid.
Can I agree with you, but with a caveat in that I agree don't pay him 15 if the cap doesn't move, but depending on how much the cap moves, 15 might be okay.
Yeah. But then you're talking, okay, does that preclude me from paying DeAndre Swift, who needs to get paid, and Amani Oruwariye, who needs to get paid? And there's other guys that are going to have their hands out too. I know there's going to be some cap economics. They did a weird thing this week with Michael Brockers where they pushed $2 million in dead cap the next year. I don't like that at all. I don't know what. I really don't know why they did that, because when they did it, we'll go off on this for a second, even though it's not on our topic list. When they did that, it indicated to me that they're bringing somebody in, or they have an idea of what they want to do with that money, because they had $2.9 million already under the cap. They didn't need another $2 million under the cap that gets thrust into next year. I don't get that one yet. And I know there's people that are, it's not a big deal, because they can, if they don't use it, they can carry it over. Then why'd you do it? That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Can you offer me an explanation on why they would do that and not, because I have been told now that Justin Jackson being signed to fill Onwuzurike's spot on the roster was known Sunday. I didn't know that. I learned it when everybody else did today. But there were a lot of people that was they knew they were doing that.
Right.
So then why did you do that with Brockers? Why did you fool with his money? I don't get that one.
Yeah. Maybe the darkest spot from Sunday was how bad they screwed up the Dan Campbell bobblehead. Dude looks like he's 130 pounds. And I'll tell you what, if that was my world, I would be an angry fan as well. 130-pound Dan Campbell. Pff, his left nut weighs 130. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, it does.
These nuts.
Sorry.
There you go. All right, Chris, spontaneous question I'll ask you.
Yeah.
What did you think of the onside kick?
I like it. It didn't turn out well, but I like the ability to be completely unpredictable. And if you watch the kicks after, where we kicked it deep and we squibbed, they had no idea how to deal with those kicks. It affected the other kicks that we had in the game and how they played them, because they weren't sure what we were going to do. So in itself, didn't work out. That really sucked. in the scheme of the whole thing and the entirety and the film that other teams have now, I kind of like it. That's where my head's at.
That's where I'm with, and that this is one of those where you're setting it up for week 4, and the opposing team's going to be like, oh, we got to consider the fact that Dan Campbell might be fucking crazy and might onside kick here. We got to practice this. Maybe that takes away 5 yards off a return when Seibert kicks it deep. It might not seem like the trade-off might not seem like much now. Didn't work. Yeah. I thought the way Dan explained it, after he initially just said, I wanted the ball back. Duh. You better answer than that, coach, please. I didn't like that answer from Campbell, but he explained it later, like the way our defense was playing and the structure of the field and the time remaining. If we weren't going to stop them, it's better for them to score quicker so we get the ball back earlier with a chance to score. I buy that. Yeah. It didn't work out all that well, but I wonder if he thought of that later and came up with that explanation, or if he had that in mind ahead of time. I don't know.
I think part of it is, and this is where Dan Campbell is very similar to Matt Patricia, and people haven't caught on to this, and it makes me giggle a little bit. He doesn't answer questions, but he doesn't answer questions in a much more gregarious way that people don't get angry with. He doesn't, that whole thing, he didn't answer it because that's just, I'm not telling you why we're doing it. I'm not giving you a view into the head of Dan Campbell, right? I just might be that fucking crazy. And that's where Dan Campbell is. I think that's what it is. And he's not answering the questions, but again, he does it in such a charismatic way. And, he pulls out
I wanted some fucking pants, but I didn't have pants. This is all I had in my locker.
This kind of stuff. And you're just like, oh, that's great, Dan Campbell. And you walk away smiling, and he didn't answer your question. You look at these pressers, and most of the time, you're not getting an answer to those questions, and people are walking away smiling. There's no Dungeon of Doom. There's none of the other stuff that used to happen with Caldwell and Patricia and everything. I think he's got the wool pulled over a whole lot of people's eyes, and I love it. That's one of the things I love about him, is the way he can deliver what he wants. I've said it, like people say he's dumb, and I tell people, no, he's dumb like a fox. He has really got a sharp head, and he plays that to a T, and people just accept it. It's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
I do think that more and more people are catching on to the fact that he is dumb like a fox. I got that a lot from the Philly media work that I did last week. They're all like, okay, we didn't know what to think of him at first. Now we kind of like what we're seeing from him from the afar. You're right. He can be forthright when he wants to be, but when he doesn't, you're right. He does do a very good job of being coy and not, like Matt Patricia would filibuster for like 10 minutes, not answering the question. That's something he learned from Bill Parcells. And it's weird because Campbell's a Parcells guy, but he's like toned it down. Like that's only one paragraph in the transcriptions that we get. It's not like a page. He's a piece of work, man. I'm proud of Coach. I still like Coach. I'm very bullish on Coach. He is in his second season. He does not have a talented of a roster as the team that he went up against, and they still damn near pulled it off.
Yeah.
To me, that's impressive coaching. I thought he did it. I thought from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, I would not say that the Detroit Lions were out coached. I would say that they were out executed and out talented in that game. I don't think they were out coached. If you want to hang your hat on the onside kick, I didn't really care for the decision in real time. I didn't. I'll be honest about that. But like if that's you got to fire the coach. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing because he tried an onside kick. Like aggressive mistakes. And this is something that I learned from volleyball. Something that my kids learn in basketball all the time. Aggressive mistakes are more acceptable than just sitting back and taking it. Like if you're going to try to be proactive about something, that's better than trying to react and getting caught with your pants down. And that has not happened with Dan Campbell. I
just had this feeling of like I was going to be walking around without any pants on.
He had that feeling, so he was prepared. Sorry, I was looking around. I heard something. I thought something was banging against the side of the house. It was just thunder. So another storm rolling.
Good luck with that.
It's that time. All right. So good conversation. Thank you all for all that. Also, if you want to get your Dan Campbell 89 jersey or any of your other jerseys, go to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com, fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com. They give us a little pinch of that cash that they normally keep in their pockets, and it supports the show, and you wind up with a killer jersey or the Lions sneakers. They got a new set coming out soon. We'll talk about that. Hats, the whole thing. It's all there. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Takes you straight to the site, just gives you a little cookie, and they give us a little cut of the profit. So thank you for everyone who does that. Fanatics.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. All right, let's talk about wide receivers. Those are the guys that catch the ball, Riz, if you weren't aware. And we had a couple of them on the field, unlike last year when we had one. The wide receivers, it's a tale of two halves again. The first half was just, I was terrified. I was like, everything we saw in camp, none of that is right here. What happened? What happened? What happened? Riz, what happened?
Again, I think some of it is chalked up to the fact that they didn't play in the preseason or play enough. They only see the same cornerbacks every time, and they, like, after you practice with a guy for 3 or 4 weeks, you know how to beat him. You know how to do it. And even when he knows the route, like, you can still adjust to that.
Yeah.
You're going against Darius Slay. You're going against Devontae. You're going against good cornerbacks. Like, that's a good football team. They're different too, and it takes some time to adjust to that. And I think you saw the misfires in the first half, to me, were the wide receivers being uncomfortable with a defense that they hadn't seen before and hadn't seen on tape before, because the Eagles did do some things that they did nothing in the preseason. They were completely vanilla, and they changed things from last year. They played a little bit more outside in coverage, especially when they went to a zone. They gave a little bit more space if you wanted to get outside. And Goff was still expecting the openings to be on the inside, and it wasn't there. And again, Philadelphia is a good team. It's not always all about Detroit. And I think that's something that, Detroit versus everybody, y'all got to soak in the fact you probably want to watch other teams play at some point too. Like, it can't just be about what you are. Sometimes the opponent is good. Sometimes the opponent's better than you. Sometimes the opponent is going to do things that make you look bad. And I think you saw a lot of that from the Philadelphia defense, and I'm going to give them some credit on that as well.
Don't hurt my feelings, Riz. That's not nice. All right. Sometimes, the other guys get paid a lot of money too. Sometimes
they do.
They get a say in what's going on. All right. Let's see really quick. Wide receivers. Who else? DJ Chark had a nice catch. He wasn't nearly as productive as I thought he would be.
He's become something of I don't want to say niche, but he's not a primary weapon. He's a guy that's like an ancillary weapon. Mm-hmm. And I think when JMO gets on the field, I think you'll see him blossom. But until then, he's probably a spot too high in the depth chart. I think other than Amon-Ra, everybody else is a spot too high on the depth chart at wide receiver. And think about this. Like last year, every single player that was on the field for a wide receiver this week would have been the number one receiver on the team.
Yeah. You're right. So yeah, that's the question. Ask about Jamo. I think Coach had a question for him.
Are you pooping? What? Good.
He wasn't sure if he was ready to play, and he had to ask what he was up to. So yeah, there you go. I love so many good ones. A lot of miscues from the wide receivers. Kind of a bummer to see that.
At least they blocked well, and DeAndre Swift benefited from. And Chark blocked his ass off. Amon-Ra blocked his ass off. Josh Reynolds had some good blocks down the field. That made me happy. That is attention to detail, and that's something you give Antoine Randall, the wide receivers coach, some credit for that.
God, yeah, he was. Yeah, he's been. I just love. I love the staff. I love the coaching staff we have. So, all right, let's get to this. We got some more to cover. We're going to get now to the question: the moral victory or progress for the teams. Got your chance in the chat or in the comments. Let us know what you think. Was this a moral victory or was this progress for the team? Before we get into it, I want to ask everyone who's in there: hit the like button, please. Please. We ask once a show. Hit the like button. It's easy. It's fast. You could have already done it. And here I am having to ask you again. Hit the like button for us. It helps us out a lot. Helps people find us. Helps the show keep going because when they find us,
it's right there. I'm going to hit it.
Thanks, brother.
I hit it.
All right. Like, subscribe. Join the great people like Tom Frary and subscribe to the show. We appreciate when you do that. That helps us out as well.
Hey, Tom.
Like I said, we only ask once a show. So bang on that button. It's like you... like there's a screen door in a hurricane or something else you want to bang on. All right, let's keep going. Moral victory or progress? This is a tough one because a moral victory, right? Is that always negative? In the context of sports, it is.
Most of the time it is In Detroit, it seems to always be that way.
Yeah, well, you get sick of moral victories and not the W victories, right?
And I don't blame people for that one whatsoever.
No. By the same token, and this is the thing that I've seen it in the chat here today, and you see it every week. Over 20 years, this team has been. Yep, you're right. But they've had this coach for 2 years. They've had this owner for 2 years. They've had this GM for 2 years. They may have the same. They don't even have the same last name. It's Hamp now, but it is different. It is a different group of people that are running this, and I do not think this is the same old Lions. This is not what we've seen from any team prior. Having fun football. I saw someone say, I'm tired of fun football. I'll tell you what, after the Patricia years, and it's only been one year and one game. Right.
Where's that been?
Yeah. I'm not so worried about it being fun. That's a great step forward for this team.
I haven't had fun covering this team since 2016.
And like now it's easy. It's easy to come in as a corporate backed company, especially with a bunch of money, and say, we're going to cover the team now on the upswing when they're on Hard Knocks and everyone's like, yeah, it's time to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, great time. But carrying the team and reporting on the team through those times where it was lean and Matt Patricia was doing his thing, and those were tough times. It just was not fun for anybody, right? Right now, having fun football is a huge improvement for Detroit Lions fans, period. And accept it and love it while you have it, because it's going to get better from here. It may not. And I've kind of said this to Riz quietly. I'm like, if this group doesn't work out as a coach, I don't know if I can keep doing this anymore. We've done this. This is our 8th season. You know what I mean? We've been through a lot. This team, I truly believe in this leadership team and their style and what they're doing. And I'm seeing, yes, in a way, moral victories, but on top of it, more so, I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing it in all the right spots. We've had progress before. For a long time, we had, a couple of great players, but no depth. And then Quinn came in, and all he did was build depth, right? And O-line. We're building across the board. We're getting great players, and we're building depth at positions slowly. We're not killing the cap. We're getting better at the cap year by year in a sensible way. We're drafting. We have a young team. We're building to peak at a good time when it looks like things will come together. You don't have control over 2 years from now, but next year is really when things should really be clicking. And the difference between last year and this year, you see it. As you said, the team we played in the Philadelphia Eagles, in Detroit both times, so there's no weather. It's just team on team, and watching the difference in the score and the fact that we were close. We were close. We could have won this game, clean up some mistakes, whatever. This team is securely in the progress place. What do you walk away with this game from? A moral victory. But I think overall, this team is showing immense progress, and I think this is going to be a fun year in which I'm sticking by my 7-9 game win. I really think this team can do it.
I totally agree with you on the progress part. There's a little bit of a moral victory in the fact that they didn't get trounced by what I think is the second best team they're going to play all year. I think Buffalo. Thanksgiving. Why do we have to get Buffalo on Thanksgiving? Damn it!
Yeah,
that team's really good.
That's gonna be a dry turkey.
But and you brought this up, week one being very unpredictable and having anomalies. You saw the Bears win. You saw the Packers get smoked by Minnesota. You saw Seattle rise up and win. They might not win again, beating Russell Wilson, which was kind of fun. You saw the Giants come back in Tennessee. I'm really, really proud of the Giants team and the way that they did that. But you're seeing, this is the week, and this is something that Huge and I talked about. Like, okay, you can have the progress in week one, but there isn't a moral victory available against Washington. Like, if you're close and no cigar, they ain't good enough this time. You've got to have the progress. You're favored to win this game. First time they've been favored since week 11 of 2020. First time they've been favored against a team with a winning record going into a game since they played Miami in 2018. Yep. In Miami, by the way, they won that game. They did not win in Carolina the last time they were favored. They got shut out 20-0 by PJ Walker starting.
I got to ask.
That was so. It's interesting. Last year's low point was absolutely the Eagles game for me. Before that, probably the worst Lions feeling I ever had was that Carolina game, because that was so bad. It was so bad, Chris.
Yeah. No. That was just,
that was rough, dude. And I don't want and like all the positivity that we're feeling, and like, oh yeah, okay, we're feeling whether it might be a moral victory. They don't win this week. Oh, that's flushed, man. This is a quietly a very, very important game for Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't win this one, everything that he's been preaching about is, we're getting better. We're building to something. If you don't start seeing progress in the win column soon, you're going to lose. I don't care about the fans if you lose them. You start losing some of those guys in the room. Like, damn, we're better than Washington. We're a better football team than Washington is.
The problem is Washington's good. Washington's good. And the other thing is we've got this week 3 win thing going on that really just muckles the thing up. I got to hit David Webster here. I said fun was not an acceptable standard. Winning should be the standard. My question is, how many wins? You're off a 3-win season. What is the win standard then? Is it all games? You have to win all of them? Or 4 games? Or what? I mean, it's 1 game into the season and they didn't win it. And so this is not acceptable. I mean, I have to say at this point, this is acceptable against a team that's a playoff team like the Eagles. What do you expect out of this team this year from 3 wins? What's acceptable? That's the thing that kills me. And that's where, it's easy to say, this team has stuck for 20 years. It's the same silly kind of,
again, if that's your attitude, root for another team.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Why are you still rooting for this team? If that's if it's win or else, why the hell are you rooting for the Detroit Lions? Like, go find a better team. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. And there's a certain amount of, I get it, because the Lions are a great study in perpetual, maybe mediocrity or worse, in that you get generations of fans that start. I mean, you start out at 14 as a fan, and you just go all in on your team. You get a little more wiser. You're like, you see some of the growth, you see the potential, you start believing, and then right around the time, and some people earlier, some later, but by the time people are 50, they're like, they start laughing. I've seen this. I don't believe it. They're jaded, and it's all over, right? And they become the Uncle Eddie fan that I call, right? But there's the same arc. What happens is, for the Lions, they have this unbroken history of not winning. So this arc happens again and again and again. If there's a win in there, if you just throw a Super Bowl win in 2011, right? Throw a Super Bowl win, even in 1991. It's a whole different kind of set of circumstances about how people treat the team. So I get it. I get it, but you can't, I mean, as a fan, you can do whatever you want, right? But you can't let the current regime be jaded by the historical regime, because they really have nothing except the heirloom players left by Bob Quinn, right? I mean, that's what's there. And they've cleaned up a bunch of those, right? Jamie Collins, goodbye. You've cleaned up a whole bunch of them real fast to get to what is their vision of what this team is.
Yeah, I don't understand if you don't win, there's nothing good about it. Again, why the hell are you a Detroit Lions fan? Like, why wouldn't you leave if you're not going to have fun watching a team unless they win? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that. I can't answer that question for you. I'm look, I'm a Cleveland guy. Cleveland Cavaliers, that's my team. One of the reasons I don't root for the Browns and why I picked up on the Lions early was because there were people in my family. This was in the late 1970s, very early 1980s. They were like, the Browns are they're gonna essentially fuck this up. I'm paraphrasing. They didn't yell at me when I was a kid like that, and I saw how miserable my family was, and I saw the Silver Rush defense, and I saw Billy Sims, who I really liked at Oklahoma. I'm like, I like that team. I can watch them on WTOL out of Toledo. Like, that's local air, over the air TV for me. I like this.
Channel 13, right? Is it?
Yeah, and I'm still here. I missed the glory years. I was in college. We didn't have TVs in our rooms in college. That's how old I am. We didn't have the internet.
Woof.
I miss those glory times. I'm here now because I enjoy it. And when I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't enjoy it in the early, like the mid 2000s, the Morningweg era specifically, I kind of checked out on the team. Like, I don't have a lot of recollection of the Joey Harrington era up through the end of the Millen years. I wasn't that into the Lions then.
You were touched in the fandom at that point.
It didn't. My mood wasn't impacted by how the Detroit Lions did on Sunday. And if you're someone who, like, you're going to be mad all week, you're going to kick your dog if the Lions don't. You're going to kick your dog on Tuesday if the Lions don't win on Sunday. Like, first off, don't kick your fucking dog. Second,
dog.
Find a better team to root for. Like, go bandwagon somewhere. See what that's like. Try it. It might be worth a try for you for your own mental health.
Make it second team. Like, and to be fair, like in hockey, and I'm not as into hockey as I used to be, and I'm not as into it as I am football. But it's been great to be living in Tampa and have the Bolts doing so well. It's great. Hey, yeah, I'll bandwagon them. I don't care. I'm a bandwagon team. It's my second team because you know what? Who's not playing them for anything worth anything is the Detroit Red Wings. So if I want to watch hockey and have some fun and enjoy it, I'm just going to watch them for a while until my Red Wings kind of start to recover and Stevie Y magic comes back, which I think that's what we're starting to see, and we're getting there. That's great. Have some fun. If that's what you need is wins, find a team to go have some fun with. Now, let me ask you this, because this is a good one. Mike Mitchell Zoltan, hear that all 100%, but there's one common denominator through the coaching staffs, and they all made my mom's focus. I love that comment. First off, that's funny. But it's basically owners saying, okay, it's the Fords. Riz, you know how I feel about that. I've said the ownership is a cheap cop-out kind of excuse because...
Explain to me what the Fords are doing or not doing that causes this team to lose. I'll wait a very long time because you're not going to be able to answer that question.
Not
just
apparently.
Because they're the common denominator doesn't... That causality, not... What's the term? Help me out there.
Causation, not... correlation, not causation.
Yes. That's what you're dealing with there.
Mr. Data. Oh, yeah.
if you can find one thing where you can say the Fords didn't do this or did do this, aside from hiring Matt Millen and not firing him on time, you're right on that one. 100%. I'll give you that one.
I saw a great meme. If you weren't with us when we were 3-14, don't try to jump on when we're 6-11.
That's true.
That's great.
I deal with bad owners. And this is another, there's a side to this. If the Fords sell, the team will not be in Detroit. I know people don't want to hear that. If Jeff Bezos buys his team, do you think he's keeping the team in Detroit with one of the oldest stadiums in the league? Believe it or not, the Ford Field is the 20th oldest stadium in the league right now.
That's crazy.
It's a great place.
That's crazy.
Like,
it still seems new to me.
You can build a new stadium in Austin or San Antonio, both cities of which have more people than Detroit does now, or Portland is dying for a team. Salt Lake City would love to have a football team. I don't think they're ever going to get one. London, Toronto, Paris, Berlin, Frankfurt. You don't think that they'd have a problem moving? No. So be very careful. And the other one, I'll go back to my Cavs thing. Dan Gilbert, best player in the NBA, LeBron James, playing in his hometown, and Dan Gilbert made it so bad for him that he left not once but twice. You think that's going to fly in Detroit? Come on.
Yep.
Be smart. Don't come. My old boss, Ty Adams, rest in peace, used to always say, don't come to me with a problem unless you have a solution in mind. If you don't know who's going to buy the team, don't assume that it's going to be better than the Fords, because it does get worse.
Yep.
Ask the Phoenix Suns right now. Ask Washington Commanders right now. Ask the Houston Texans right now. Ask the Chicago Bears right now in their stadium limbo that they're in. It gets worse, folks.
Yep.
And people that have newfound money these days are typically a lot worse than they used to be. The Cleveland Browns, Jimmy Haslam. Hell, give me 5 Sheilas before I have to deal with that nut job again.
Well, I'll give you.
It's bad.
Mark keeps coming back with they're just bad. He does nothing except they're just bad. So we'll go on. Let's look at the Washington Commodes. We're out there looking at the Washington Commodes, who have one of the best owners. The guy who I wish owned the Detroit Lions, because let's face it, sexual abuse hotline workers need calls too.
If you can't pimp out your cheerleading staff, what good of an owner are you?
How good is your sexual abuse hotline if it isn't getting practice? And in Washington, D.C., they are definitely getting practice.
I cannot stress this enough, and I don't think people understand this. He literally paid the cheerleaders to go with high rollers and pose naked with them on a beach in a Caribbean island. He footed the bill for all that. Like, okay, you might think that's cool if you're a high roller and you're, naked cheerleader? Fuck yeah, man. That's somebody's wife, man. That's somebody's daughter. Like,
you're talking about the high rollers, right?
Check yourself there, folks.
All right, let's look at those commodes. Let's flush them this week. What do we got? We've got actually a strong team that we have to face here, and look at quarterback I think he outplayed himself in week 1. In Carson Wentz, I don't think he's as good as he played, but he is surrounded by guys like Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, right, Curtis Samuel, and tight end that fucking Patricia let slip through his fingers, Logan Thomas.
Jesse James, fuck you.
Yeah, the perpetual get rid of starters and get all kinds of depth, right? That was the plan. That's actually, I like those weapons. I really, really like those weapons.
I do too.
If they had Jared Goff would look much better than he did last year, even with that. I mean, they have potency and they're a threat on offense. Chase Young being out on defense is a massive blessing, right? That is really, really good for us. Because I really wanted him.
And it's especially good because he lines up. He would attack Penei Sewell, and Penei. I don't want to sound the alarms here. He didn't have a great game pass blocking. Mm-hmm. He's still not. His inside shoulder is still weak in pass protection. Guess where Chase Young really attacks well? Outside in. So it's great that he's out now. Montez Sweat can play. He's good.
Oh,
and
Sweat.
Payne and Allen on the inside. Those guys are good.
Do you remember Sweat at the Senior Bowl? Watch him, that stab move. I mean, Sandman's the one that picked it out, and then he would use it. And it was like the old Kung Fu movies. He would do the stab, and he'd be holding the guy's heart, but behind him, right? He went through his body holding his still beating
The thing that I liked about it at the Senior Bowl was the offensive lineman knew it was coming and still couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And
man,
the NFL is better at that. It still works for the guy. Like, this is not a joke team. If their quarterback plays well, they're a difficult team to beat, no doubt about that. But I don't trust Carson Wentz. Maybe because I watched him in Indy. I know how Indy feels about him, and that gives me some comfort. But if he plays the way he did against Jacksonville, it's going to be a tough game.
Yep.
And like you said, the weapons, like they're stacked outside. I talked earlier. It reminds me of the Lions teams in the later Caldwell era, where everything was really good except the offensive line. You weren't quite sure what you were going to get from that.
Yep.
And that's sort of where I'm at with Washington. But I do think Matthew Stafford in that era was better than what Carson Wentz is now for Washington. I'm not going to I'll give Wentz credit. He played well against Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. It's Jacksonville with a new coach, new defense, new scheme. I'm going to give them the same sort of treatment that I gave the Lions for coming new coordination scheme type thing.
Yep.
There were some holes in that I'm not going to go crazy on Carson Wentz there.
Sure. Steve Shattuck, thanks for that last.
He's dangerous. Chat. He's dangerous.
Yep. Steve Shattuck, thank you for that last super chat. Who's your key matchups here in this game, Riz? When we're looking at the commodes facing off against the Lions, I'm going to say that all I can. Because in the commodes, you've had
enough of that shit.
No turds, baby. Where's the key matchup that's going to decide this game? And I'll just leave that open for you to interpret and decide.
Oh, I had to write this. For those of you who don't know, I get to write the USA Today Sports Weekly thing that you see in your airports and libraries and stuff. I write the Lions section for that when they have home games. And I actually had to write it during the game last week. So we have to do the key matchup. And I want to say that my key matchup, I want to say it was DeAndre Swift against their linebacking core, but it might have been the inverse. It might have been Rodrigo against Antonio Gibson, because Gibson can run the ball downhill. He's very good at that. He's also a very good receiver out of the backfield. And Rodrigo, look, people are going to flame me for this. I don't think he played that well. He's a 6th-round rookie. I understand that. But if he's on the field, he cannot miss assignments, and he missed too many assignments in the first. Yeah, he hip checked the guy. That's great. He was also being blocked 6 yards down the field on a play where he needed to be at the line of scrimmage. It's nice that he did what he did. the Eagles got a successful play out of that, and I think that's getting lost. He's got to step up because he is a player who can nullify Antonio Gibson. And if you make Carson Wentz one-dimensional, that's when he gets freaky, and that's when he makes mistakes, and that's when you get turnovers. That's when Tracy Walker will get a pick six. That's when he's going to fumble a snap away or get hit by Hutchinson, and Ali McNeil's going to get a big guy touchdown. That's how you beat Carson Wentz. You make him either have to run or have to throw because he doesn't do that well. If he's got balance, he's capable. So that's my I'm going to go with Rodrigo, and I'll throw Anzalone in there too because they're out there together. The Lions linebackers versus Antonio Gibson and whatever else the Commanders throw at you out of the backfield because they're good. They're deep too. It's not just him. Yeah. They have a good versatile running back core that can all catch out of the backfield. If the Lions can't win that matchup with just the two linebackers that they got on the field, they're going to have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to take a broader view. I think with Carson Wentz, I just think he's terrified of getting hurt, and that's why he's so skittish under pressure because it's sidelined him so many times and cost him so much in so many places. I just think that when you get after him, you can get in his head. You can truly get in his head and cause him to fail. But that being said, I think this game is a game in which we need the offense to score. We're in that mode where we have to outscore the Washington Commodes and just get that scorecard, that clock, the scoreboard rolling like a gas pump these days. Just get the points a popping because I'm not sure the defense is going to be able. I think we'll get a couple of stops, but I wouldn't rely on it. We just have to score when we get the ball. No 3-and-outs. The more 3-and-outs, the less chance we have to win. Period. End of story. And I think that offense has to execute this week, and if they do, we'll have a great chance to win the game.
It should be easier sledding against Washington than it was against Philadelphia. Again, Washington's front four, whatever they're running is good. Linebackers, not so much. William Jackson's a volatile player. He can be good. He can be a problem. He can also not play well. Mm-hmm. Cameron Curls, same kind of way. Their secondary isn't anywhere close to as good or reliable as what Philadelphia's is. So you're going to be able – I think you're going to see more out of TJ Hawkinson. I think you're going to see more out of Josh Reynolds actually is probably the guy who's going to benefit from the most from the relative lack of depth that Washington has in secondary. Yeah. I think Jared Goff is smart enough to understand where his positive matchups are. I think you saw some of that against Philadelphia. They didn't attack Slay very much. They went elsewhere. And I think some of that's game plan. I think Ben Johnson's a smart coach. He will design things, and I think you will see this is where having a third and fourth wide receiver who are capable rather than guys who should be on, not even on practice squads, which we did last year. I think this is where this is going to show up. And this is a game where I do think the Lions offense can outscore what their defense is going to give up.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Good question. Really quick. I'm going to try something really quick just because I want to see if I can make it work here. Let's see if this will go.
Are you pooping? You've had enough of that shit. What?
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I can get that to work. Okay. I just had to try something on the fly. Sorry. We got that. There's a good question here from David Woodkirk. Has Austin Bryant really turned a corner? Has he been playing above his talent? I think he's just healthy. He seems always like a super athletic cat who had so much to offer, and that's why he stuck around. That's why he was always there. He just couldn't stay healthy. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I loved what I saw in the preseason out of him, and what I saw against Philadelphia. I'm like, oh, this is he. I would expect a lot more rust on him just from his lack of actual game time play, but he looked pretty smooth. I was impressed with Austin Bryant. I'm happy to see that he might be able to turn into something. Just stay healthy, man. Anything on him?
Fully with you on that. I got nothing to add on that. You're dead on.
All right. Amazon.DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Hit that. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button. Please let folks know that you think we're all right. It's free. It's cheap. It's easy. And you don't have to buy anything. And you just click it while you're there anyway. You're hanging out. And we appreciate it. Helps us out and helps people find us. With that, Riz, I think we're going to call it a show. Couple of things coming up. No game preview this week. We didn't have one last week. My son had the flu. I had to race out and pick him up and bring it back, and then I was sick, and it was just a wreck. We would do it this week, but I got my anniversary, like I said, so we're going to a resort. My wife and I get some time away and relax. We'll be back with the post-game show on Sunday. Loved it. It was so much fun. Loved you guys' calls. Join us. We're going live right after. You won't miss the post-game press conference either. We pull that into the show. It's a really good time. It's a great show. You guys, good time to get that post-game therapy or celebration in as needed. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. You get access to our Slack chat, which is literally, no jokes, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. You're not going to find it on any of the other message boards. Anybody or any group this smart or supportive, or even if you disagree, they treat you with respect. Little as $5 a month in the Patreon gets you access to that Slack chat. It's a good time. We got a couple other benefits coming out we're thinking of for folks there as well. Also follow us on Twitter at Jeff Risdon, as you see spelled out right there, and at DET Lions Podcast, at DET Lions Podcast. We're always running around.
I just had this feeling of like I was going to be walking around with any pants on.
That's right. RCB Sports and Gaming, thank you for the subscribing. Appreciate you, brother or sister or brother and sister, whatever. Thank you for subscribing. If you want, become a member. It's a great way to support the show on a regular basis, and you'll get access to the Slack as well. Just hit the membership. Let us know. We'll get you access, and you're good to go. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast, all one word, Detroit Lions Podcast, or call us in the Lions line, 929-33-LIONS. It's 929-335-4667. Be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast. Why, Riz?
I can come into your ear holes automatically.
That's right. Where else are you going to hear this kind of beautiful voices, great insights, and face it, just hammeringly gorgeous faces. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, because we are your Detroit Lions connection. Uh-huh.